Yep, you read the title. Ashes Town is shutting down. But why? Well, honestly, it's a bit complicated, and I don't think I can just summarize it all for you effectively due to that. So instead, I'll just read the official document statement, which isn't a Google document for once, and I'll be reading the English one, obviously, but apparently there's some in other languages, or so I've been told. I will, however, warn you, this document contains grooming/pedophilia, so if that's something you can't handle, please watch a different video or skip to this timestamp. And also, it's kind of a long read, so please bear with me since I've decided to read it all myself rather than making you all listen to an AI text-to-speech voice, because those voices suck and they're honestly annoying. And also, I may mess up some words at times since I'm still a bit shaken up from some personal matters, which I won't be discussing, and also since I just woke up like an hour ago. Zeeb's misconduct. Ashes Town began in 2019 as a project led by me. Shortly after, I met Zeeb, aka, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that, /ramen noodles, who was also working on a Fallout Equestria inspired custom server. We decided to collaborate and lead Ashes Town together. Over time, Zeeb's behavior deteriorated. He openly identified as a Nazi, made xenophobic remarks, and harassed players and team members. These actions created serious internal conflict, led to resignations, and severely strained our relationship with Ponytown. Despite recognizing the harm, I tolerated it for too long because I believed Zeeb's contributions were essential to the project. By late 2023, after years of damage control, I stepped down, leaving Zeeb in charge. About 6 months later, I was forced to return when Ponytown refused to continue working with him. At that point, Zeeb was removed from leadership and I assumed sole responsibility. In 2025, after Zeeb's removal, I learned of even more serious misconduct. During 2022, Zeeb recruited a new artist who was only 16 years old, around 7 years younger than him. Despite knowing their age, he coerced and groomed this person into a relationship while using his leadership position to exert control. During their relationship, he was emotionally abusive and persistently attempted to arrange in-person meetings. Zeeb concealed both the artist's age and the relationship for a long time, eventually admitting to it to me while intoxicated. At the time, I did not recognize that the artist was still a minor, and because of that, I failed to intervene. Looking back, I realized I should have done more and recognized that my inaction was a serious mistake. It is clear Zeeb should have been removed far earlier, and the damage caused to the project, its team, and our relationships with others was far greater than I realized. After launching Ashes Town, I initially covered all server expenses myself. To make the project more sustainable, I reached out to Ponytown and we explored ways to create a mutually beneficial partnership. This led to an agreement that allowed us to open monetization under a split profits model, which not only covered server costs, but also created the opportunity to financially support Ashes Town's team members. At first, I was satisfied with the agreement, but while Ponytown provided significant support in the beginning, their involvement gradually decreased. During this time, we replaced many assets with our own, and I began to think it's time to lower the share Ponytown was getting. When I attempted to renegotiate the terms, Ponytown declined, largely due to the strain on our relationship caused by Zeeb's behavior. Later, someone who claimed to be a former Ponytown team member joined the Ashes Town team. They claimed Ponytown had refused to pay them even though payment had been promised for their work. I later discovered these claims were false, but at the time they played a key role in my decision to stop paying Ponytown's share of revenue altogether, including payments I already owed under our agreement. The rest of the Ashes Town team supported the decision. When Ponytown tried to resolve the matter, I ignored their attempts. More than half a year later, after Ponytown learned about Zeeb's grooming, they reached out to Ashes Town's department leads. At that point, Ponytown believed I had been negligent regarding the grooming situation, and combined with my violations of our agreements, they wanted me removed from Ashes Town. Instead of genuinely working towards a solution, those leads pretended to cooperate while secretly gathering information. This dragged on for quite some time. Eventually, Ponytown terminated the agreement and requested the removal of monetization involving their artwork. They made it clear they wanted to resolve the matter privately, with going public considered only as a last resort. They also stated that despite there being a dispute over monetization, they would not pursue legal action. I, however, believed the law was on my side and was fully prepared to use it. I refused to remove monetization and told Ponytown they would have to sue me if they disagreed. I also threatened to sue them for defamation if they released a public statement about my actions. Soon after, I learned that I was mistaken. Me violating our agreement was in fact illegal. I also realized that I had cornered Ponytown into a situation where involving lawyers became their only option. At that point, it was clear that continued refusal on my part would only lead to legal costs, which I simply could not afford. Not long after, the artist who had been groomed by Zeeb requested the removal of their artwork from Ashes, something they had every moral and legal right to demand. It meant removing a lot of the artwork that had shaped Ashes Town's identity. Only after that I fully realized how badly I and my team had mishandled the situation. By that point, however, the damage was irreparable. The stress of the conflict was overwhelming, and I also came to realize that some members of the Ashes Town team, as well as outside helpers, would rather see me suffer than do the right thing. This even extended to them attacking the grooming victim after their request for art removal. Fallout. I personally want to move on from Ashes Town and use it as a learning experience. I made too many avoidable mistakes that can no longer be amended. Now, with multiple contributors requesting their work to be removed, and with the internal and external conflicts that have unfolded, there is little left that can be salvaged. This document is written by Knightley. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that name. Yeah, sorry. And a few others contributed to it to ensure the key events are represented accurately, so the parties involved wouldn't need to issue their own clarifications. I want to thank everyone who supported the project and invested time, creativity, and heart into Ashes Town. While it is painful to close this chapter, I believe it is the most responsible and necessary choice for the team, the community, and the future. Okay, now that we've gone over all that, I won't sit here and pretend that Ashes Town was some perfect game, because trust me, I've had some issues with it. For a few examples, there was a guy who flirted with me when I was like 13 or 14 on there. Meanwhile, he was an adult and aware of my age, and then he came back when I was 15 and started telling me about how he left the Thomas the Tank Engine fandom due to how toxic and not safe for work it was. As if I gave a shit about that, while knowing that talking about NSFW stuff would trigger me due to my sexual trauma, because I told him, hey, don't talk to me about that shit, it triggers me. But he didn't give a shit, he didn't listen, even though it should be on the adults to do so, but whatever. This next person you may or may not recognize the name of, because they're kind of infamous within the community for their harassment of others. That person, of course, being none other than Punk Dash. She was unfortunate enough to end up in a live stream of mine where we ended up getting into an argument because she kept placing stuff on the table that me and a few of my friends would always sit at. And she got upset when my ex-girlfriend asked her to stop, and if I'm remembering correctly, I had also asked her to stop, and another one of my friends, so multiple people had asked her to stop putting stuff on the table, and she decided that the best solution to that would be to send my ex-girlfriend little death threats over a pony game, and threaten to mass report me and my Ashes Town account and my YouTube channel to get me banned. So we got different forms of harassment from Punk Dash, basically. Neither of which was called for, by the way. No matter how many times we tried to report her, nothing was done about it. She got away scot-free so many times that me, my ex, and honestly, probably a few other people too, started theorizing that Punk Dash was either, one, a sibling of a staff member, which would definitely explain her immunity to receiving punishment, or two, a social experiment, aka a staff member on an alt account whose only purpose was to fuck with people to see what would happen. We also learned that she apparently was an adult, yet she didn't even know her own birth year, and I find it hard to believe that she's an adult given the fact that she was sending death threats to an at the time 14-year-old. That's not exactly adult behavior though, is it? So yeah, needless to say, I've definitely had issues with Ashes Town, more specifically the staff members and the reporting system, and it seems that after the announcement of Ashes Town is shutting down, the community all started turning on each other like wolves, because last night the Discord was absolutely nothing but toxicity, which doesn't surprise me, but I think everyone was hiding their toxic behavior and pretending to be all civil until the announcement, since at that point it wouldn't really affect their reputation. The game is shutting down anyway, right? Bad thought process, by the way. But in all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised if someone did actually have that thought process, since, someone accused someone else of being a pedophile. Yikes. But if you're looking for a different pony game to play after Ashes Town is gone, go play Dust Town. It seems to have potential. A link will be in the description, and maybe you'll even see me on there. As always, thanks for watching, especially if you made it this far, and I love you guys.